Grow Great is a city government leadership podcast with Lisa Norris and me, Randy Cantrell. Each week we share insights, experiences, and wisdom to help you and your leadership grow great. Our website is growgreat.com.
Well, Randy, I know it seems like we've been off from recording for a bit, and I know we're trying to get back on track for our listeners, but
we'll talk more about that. We'll talk more about that at the end, because you got a great quote that's a perfect tie-in for how we can kind of alert the crowd a little bit.
Oh, there you go.
Don't worry, it's all good. Don't anybody panic.
Good.
It's all good. It's just hectic.
Yeah, it is crazy busy, and probably like every person listening feels, honestly. I haven't talked to anybody that works in city government that says, man, I just twiddle my thumbs hoping something comes in today. I have never heard that happen.
No.
But this particular quote I ran across, it was from my favorite group. It's from Leadership First, which I'm on LinkedIn. And they have just fantastic quotes and comments and just good leadership content that is to the point, which I love. And this particular one, Randy will post it, but for the listeners that aren't viewing it or don't go into the site and see it, it's a little girl sitting on a fence, just with her back to us. And it says, the most precious gift you can give someone is the gift of your time and attention. And I know in leadership, for me, that has been something I have focused on over the years, because we are so busy, all of us, including our team members. And so many times I had staff members, I could see something on their face when I walked by. You can see body language. You can see that the happy-go-lucky person they normally are, they aren't today. You know, you can see something is off. And I would either stop if they're in a fairly private area and I can say, you doing okay? Or I'll ping them on Teams or text and say, hey, you don't look like yourself. Everything okay? I'm always available. And I would just tell them that. And then I would walk by and just say, did you get my text? And they're like, and they would just start crying, And I said, come on, when you get a second, just come into my office. And they're like, you're so busy. Always my response is, I am not too busy for my team. I'm never too busy, because anything that is affecting you is affecting work and affecting life. And if I can support you somehow, then I just need to understand what's going on, whether it's a kind word, whether I need to force you to take the day off and go take care of whatever it is, whether I need to give you permission, and maybe that's what they're looking for because they don't want to ask. Every time someone has come to me, it's a different need. But being willing to listen and giving your time and attention, man, it matters. It matters to people, and you start to gain significant trust if they can truly depend on you for your word and your commitment to do what you say you're going to do.
Well, and people know. I think people know whether you're a time and attention kind of a person. When you first shared that with me, one of my first blush thoughts was, that may be a really good barometer for a great leader. Well, let's qualify that. It may be a barometer for even a good leader.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever your definition of good is, okay, amplify that, and there's great. But leaders that, and we've all known some, and hopefully you're not one, and if you are, I'm going to strongly encourage you to put in the work to improve yourself. It's one thing to be a great operator. It's one thing to be a great manager. It's something completely different to now add leadership to the mix, because it's that time and attention. I've just seen too many people who were really rock stars at their work or subject matter expert, but that time and attention part of it, completely not comfortable with it. In fact, to the point of being uncomfortable with it. So those conversations that people come to you, it's interesting that they know who they can approach. You get approached for a reason. A guy like me gets approached for a reason. Some of us have joked, does it have tell me all your problems on my forehead or something? There's something to that inner circle of those of us who have that, whatever that is, that vulnerability, that openness, that willing, people know they'll give me they'll give me the time and attention. Now, whether people want to, some of us, my hands in the air, feel like that's an imposition. And so, but that's on me to not impose. And I've learned to think of it in another way. But so if Lisa could serve me, should I make the decision on her behalf to deprive her of the opportunity to help me if she could? Yeah. Because that's what she wants to do, just like that's what I want to do for her. And so, I don't know where I could go with that to give you some really solid advice. But if that component, if you find yourself not wanting people to approach you like that and you aspire to leadership, you need to figure that out.
You do. It's so important. And it's not, listeners may be thinking, well, that's soft, that's touchy-feely. I'm not a touchy-feely person. It is not about that. This is about compassion, knowing your people, and knowing when something has changed and they may need your help. And
well, it's touchy-feely in the sense that it's
such an easy gift to give. Time and attention is such an easy gift to give. It doesn't have to be an hour-long coaching and counseling session.
It is for you. It is for me. It's not for everybody.
Right.
My advice is you need to find a way where if it gets easy, come on, everything's hard until it's easy. So, you need to work hard to make that easy and easier. But you and I both know there are people that avoid conversations that would serve the employee, but the leader doesn't want to have that conversation because the leader's not thinking about the employee. The leader's thinking about, I don't want to have that conversation. Mm-hmm. So
we're
they don't.
Thinking about ourselves to protect ourselves.
Yeah. So they don't. And guess what? Employees know that. You don't have to make an announcement. Hey, I don't want to talk to you about this. You don't have to say that. Everybody knows.
True. That's true.
We all pick up on it, and it's interesting who people go to. And sometimes
you have to establish it. There's something to be said for, we've talked about it over and over, for psychological safety. If you are not creating a space where they trust that they can be heard by you and they can come to you and be open and transparent and vulnerable, they're not going to do it. If you haven't established that you truly care about them and you're willing to listen, they will not come. And when your people are quiet, that is a whole nother, much bigger issue than you realize. If you have people that are quiet and won't speak up, there is a much bigger underlying problem than you're recognizing.
Yeah, and there's
people
nothing
think, well,
kumbaya about any of
working. That's not good. That is
not
good.
Well, listen, as leaders, one of our biggest fears should be, and it is for every high-performing leader that I know and work with, what am I not seeing? Mm-hmm. And the answer is, well, I need to see better. No, I need more who's. I need who can I lean on? Who can I trust? What scouts?
Am I willing to listen to them?
Yeah, what scouts can I send out up ahead who can come back and report, and I will listen to them because I trust them. I trust that when they tell me they saw this, that's what they saw. As opposed to, well, I don't like what you saw. I don't agree with what you saw. They went, they looked, they saw it. You didn't. Yeah. They're seeing behind the corners for you, and so you need to let them. It's interesting
because there are different types of leaders too, right? You've seen leaders who send out scouts for a negative reason, not a positive reason, and you have people that are your eyes and ears that you know you can absolutely trust with the facts, good or bad. There's two different types, right? I've seen them exist where they rely on people for one side, whether they're right or wrong, and that's the person they go to. And there's people who send out people who, I want to know what's going on. And I've seen it come out in investigations, and I've seen it come out in different ways, but it's got to be an effective, what you call a great leader, is going to want the answer whether it's positive or negative. They want to know the truth. I've seen other leaders that want to send scouts out to prove up something,
Yeah, to confirm what I already
to
think.
confirm what I believe.
Yep.
And those have two completely different strategies and completely different benefits. One's
well,
to
I would
self
say
and
one
one's
is-
to the organization.
Yeah, I would say one is really effective, and one is going to be a good leader, and the other is very ineffective and is a poor leader. You
Yeah.
know, a leader is a leader is not a true statement.
Right.
They're different, just like every other role on the planet. You know, every husband isn't great, every wife isn't great. Some aren't even good. Many of them are bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also true of leaders. But I don't think the time and attention thing is really a kumbaya, because you and I are, Lisa and I, in that regard, could not be more different. Lisa is, her natural default is to celebrate. Mine is not. Mine is to drive. And I had to learn, but I'm living proof that even an anti-kumbaya guy, which I'm that guy, has learned celebration is important. I'm probably not going to do it enough. My default is probably going to get in the way of my doing it as much as I should. I get by with it because my empathy is off the charts. Mm-hmm. It's friggin' off the charts. And so all those informal conversations, all those difficult one-on-one conversations, all of those very private, confidential conversations, they're not hard for me at all. Mm-mm. I don't even think about them. But I have seen
because
other.
you're genuine.
Well,
right?
it's also easy for me.
Because you're serving that other person. You're doing it for their benefit.
Well, that's how I see it, and that's
It's
how
not
you
self-focused.
and that's how you see it.
Right.
But for some, you know, everything appears to be a threat, and I just don't know of a way to be a good. You certainly can't be a great leader and be a coward. You can't be a
Right.
great leader and live in fear. You've got to have the courage of your convictions. And I think you also I would also say the gift of your time and attention is reciprocated
Yeah.
almost universally. I have rarely found the incident where a gift of my time and attention was not returned.
That's an interesting point, because you're exactly right. Especially, I recognize this especially during COVID, and I think we met right in the throes of that, or right after it, when we started working together. And
Yeah, we were in the throes of it.
I was finding it was an entirely new thing to navigate. Not only was I in HR at the time, and we had to navigate all the new laws, everything coming down, all the, how are you going to test? How are you going to bring people back to work? Who can return to the workplace? We've got fire and police. You got this whole dynamic of everything going on. But what I found more interesting for my staff was not managing all those things. From an HR perspective, when I started asking, what do we need to be doing different? We're in this environment where we're all working from home now. And what I found out, the connections count. Where we thought we liked working independently and doing our one thing, they were missing the connections at work, right? That how do we continue to really know we are connected as a team, cohesive as a team? And I had to navigate that in light of all this other task and tactical implementation things we had to do. I had to figure out how to get the team to be a team remotely. And so we implemented a lot of strategies around that. I did a lot of things and activities we could do remote. And I'm a creative person, but I really had to think of, I had men and women alike on the team, so I can't do anything, I call it artsy fartsy. I can't do anything, but I did think of, okay, what can we do to draw us together? So we called it Thoughtful Thursdays, and we did things like that. And it came down to exactly what we're talking about. It was time and attention. Not only did they enjoy it with the team, but the team themselves got to know each other better during COVID than we ever did in the office. And it changed the way I thought about this very thing. Like, I've always done this, and I've always given my time and attention. But what the team struggled with is they said, we don't know our actual teammates. And I said, well, why don't you? Because we're always doing our job. We're always coming in and getting done for today what I needed to get done in my role for the team. but we didn't focus on the team itself. And so it changed my way of thinking that not only do I need to give my time and attention, but the team needs to give their time and attention to one another. And Randy, was simple, let's talk about, the greatest vacation you had and why. Let's talk about the funniest adventure you had and why. And we went around the horn, and it was a 30-minute meeting, and we were in, 14 people, quick. And then some moments are, what's our struggle this week? And everybody was in tears. It was parents, it was kids, it was lack of connections, it was somebody had passed from COVID, but you started realizing there's so many similarities in us that we didn't recognize versus the differences in one another. And people that used to not get along started connecting.
Well, there's insight. Insights.
It changed our dynamics in the team.
Sure.
And then when we got back to work, we started implementing, not as frequent. We did, we just did them once a month, just connection points of just all different kinds of things. I let them kind of pick, what do you think about this idea? What do you think about? And they're like, yeah, I like that, or no, I don't like that. And we kind of move forward as a team. But it just goes to show you the value in that, like you said. When you say it gives it in return, I feel like that team, when I was there, when I had to go out with my dad, I couldn't have felt a stronger sense of connection with my team and genuine concern and genuine, you go, we got it here. You do not even blink at this place. We've got you. Like, without question. And they worked their butts off on anything that was needed to hold the fort down so I could take off time. And I think they did that for each other after that moment. But it took us as a team together to give ourselves and one another the time and attention we needed to listen to our leadership recipe. It's humility. You're not the smartest person in the room. And secondly, it's curiosity and gaining knowledge and understanding. And once you have knowledge and understanding, not only did I become a better leader through that, right? I had done that, but I hadn't named it. Now I understood the leadership progression, in our case, what we called the leadership recipe as it evolved, but how much it matters. And it doesn't only matter for me as a leader, but I exemplified it, and the team started doing the same things. Whether they knew it or not, they started exemplifying those same traits and behaviors that made them better team members for one another. And that's where I think you really see the benefits of it in return. And what a blessing it was to see that the team was giving to each other and to me in return for the time and attention I was trying to give to them and in the needs that they had in that moment. It matters.
Yeah, it was interesting during COVID to prove that this isn't a kumbaya thing. And I still hear about it because the advantage COVID gave us is we were using this platform. Now we're using Zoom. So whether it's Teams or whatever it is, you were seeing people in their home work environment. You weren't seeing them in the office. You weren't seeing them in their cubicle or their office. So on camera, now Lisa's got hers blurred out, but in these inter-office meetings, it's like, okay, we kind of want to see your digs. And so here you can see in this room that I call the Yellow Studio, you can see all this stuff. Well, all this stuff gives you some slight insight into me that if you saw me in a work environment, okay, yeah, you would still see it for me today. But you know what I'm saying? If we're
but there's a story to tell, and I remember you grabbing like the sloth off the back shelf that you see there and telling me about your pictures on the wall. They have meaning to you, and you learn about people if you listen.
But the CEOs and the high end executives that still remember, they remember somebody in their leadership team, and the cat walking across the screen, a tail.
Or they have their filter on and they shouldn't.
And it's like, and I know that that's a stretch of the gift of your time and attention, but it does speak to your point of just human connectivity and our ability. There, she unblurred it.
I unblurred it. I forgot I had it left that way from another meeting.
To relate to each other and. Yeah, there's just that commonality. So you don't have to be. Lisa and I have done for a considerable period of time, and thanks to Cheryl, her boss, Deputy
city
manager there at Grand Prairie, with this leadership class that Lisa has spearheaded. And we've had people from work boots and blue collar to high-end executives. And universally, especially, during one or two of these sessions, and there are 6, and everybody in the room is affected. Everybody in the room is impacted. Because guess what? You have a heartbeat. Now, whether some of us are more comfortable with that than others, and that's okay. I just think in your own leadership journey, that gift of your time and attention, and not thinking too highly of yourself, but realizing that because of if you're a boss, and there is a difference, but if you're the boss and you're the leader, it just doesn't get any better than that, because you have the power to do something. You may not have all the power. Very few people do, but you have more power and more authority to hopefully help remove some roadblocks and provide support. Sometimes what people need most is cover fire.
Yeah.
You just need cover fire. I need somebody that's kind of got my back.
And sometimes you can't know that unless you ask, and can't know that unless you listen. You've got to, am I always in tune with my entire team? I'm not always in tune. But man, a lot of the time, I know what they love. I know what they value. And in the moments, it was different. It truly was different leading an HR team where I'm over them versus in CMO where I'm leading a bunch of directors. I give them much more authority to lead their teams, and I just guide more. I still did that in HR, but you're responsible for them. It is different. It's just a different, leadership is leadership, but there are different roles I have to play with my own team and their development versus the directors, and guiding them on what is it you want to do and how can I help you achieve that. But I'm not the one necessarily responsible for it. Does that make sense? I have to give them the autonomy to lead, and give them ideas and have them run thoughts by me if they want that input. And I just try to guide them on, what have you thought about? What do you need to do? What has your team told you? It's that kind of thing. In HR, I had more engagement and feeling more like a parent. I felt much more responsible for that team, their mental health, their work product, their instruction. It's more like, it was more, it's just different on the types of people you're leading in that moment.
Well, you're more removed from the actual work product.
Yeah.
From
and
the
you can't
output.
be. I don't want to tell somebody how to do their job.
No.
These are directors that are super smart and fully capable.
Yeah.
Much like my HR team was, but they were in different stages in their career, and they need more insight and growth, and you need to understand, what are you trying to achieve and how can I help you get there? Now, that is the same with the directors. What are you trying to do and how can I help you get there? But it is different in your different roles, and love them, both.
Yeah.
But in either case, time and attention matters. And I've even told the directors, you can always shoot straight with me. You do not have to fluff your words. I used to have an assistant chief in PD, and he would horrify the chief because he'd come in my office and talking to me, and I don't use the F-bomb, but he used it as an adjective, a noun, a verb, an adverb,
Yeah.
And the chief was like, you have a lady in the room. I said, well, I am one, but you don't have to talk. The door is closed. Let him talk how he wants to talk. He's not talking at me.
Yeah.
And I don't want him to become different because of me.
Yeah.
Just tell me what you need, and I understand it. So it was just funny how you have to know them and listen to them in their own world. If I try to change them and change how they're going to approach me and talk to me, they're not going to be as vulnerable and real.
Yeah, that's
just
right.
Shoot straight.
That's right.
I can handle it.
Well, and
was in the
me,
military.
I'm a huge advocate. Yeah, and me, I'm a huge advocate for truth tellers, because every leader that's worth their salt that I have ever known is a truth teller and really craved other people being around them who were truth tellers. And I realize not every leader is. That's their choice. But time and attention if you're going to foster truth tellers, you've got to you got to lead. You got to give it first. You can't ask for their time and attention until you're willing to give yours. The good news about this is it's not tactical. I would argue is it even strategic? It's just human. It's just, do we want to try to leverage this resource, which are humans, as best we can? And in our organizations, the answer is yes.
Well,
because
you get
the higher
so much
you
more
ascend,
out of them.
well, and the
Yes.
higher you ascend, the more responsibility you have. So a city manager is infinitely more powerful in being able to deploy whatever resources are available, however they choose. And then it trickles down after that.
Yeah.
And so the name of the game is, how can I marshal and leverage the resources that I've got? And nobody's got more powerful resources than humans. AI is great and wonderful, but humans, AI in the hands of a human that knows what to do with it, that's where the power's at. The power is, how can we deploy that resource? And so as a leader, for me, the time and attention to this human resource, if you're not doing that, I don't know why you exist. But that's me.
Yeah, time and attention, man, it matters. It counts, and if you deliver it well, and you have to be genuine. You can't, if a leader thinks, okay, I'll just try to go in and be nicer, but you're not really intending to serve them in the moment, it's not going to count. You've got to be genuine. You've got to have their best interest at heart at the end of the day, and really be genuinely interested in what is going on in their life right now, and figure out what you can do to help them and serve them. And that's up, down, or out, right? Up, down, or out, it counts and it matters. And you need to give time and attention to be a better leader at the end of the day.
And that's her mic drop moment, but I'm going to hold us hostage for just about 30 more seconds and say she is in the midst of this workday thing. We've talked about it ad nauseum, and we'll get back on a schedule of some sort, but I'm going to ask for your time and attention. First off, I'm going to thank everybody in the audience for your time and attention. Without you, Lisa and I are just visiting with each other, and that's what we would be doing.
We do enjoy that.
Yeah, we would be doing that anyway.
Yeah.
But we're real thankful that you're here, and we're real thankful that you give us your time and attention. But I'm going to ask that you would indulge us. So our publishing schedule is admittedly sporadic, and I'm going to forewarn you that she is in the midst of looking at a big hill to climb, and so it's liable to get more sporadic. But we'll at least try to be out there every other week. That's as much of a promise as I'm willing to make, and I'll give you the last word.
No, and it's funny because when Randy and I hopped on, I'm like, Randy, can we do 5? Can we do 7 in the morning on Friday? No, we're both so buried in it. But you all, our audience, is important to us. We may not hear from you all, but we hope we are making an impact. And truly, we not only do this because we enjoy the conversation with each other, and I think we still learn from each other, but we hope we continue to impact our listeners one at a time. And you are important to us, and you keep us going. So we try to do the best we can to get information out timely, and we'll continue to try to do that, like Randy said, at least either every other week. And thank you for listening and supporting us.
Thanks for watching and listening to Grow Great, the City Government Leadership Podcast. Our website is growgreat.com. For Lisa Norris, I'm Randy Cantrell. We hope you'll subscribe to the show, and we hope you'll tell a friend.